Welcome to the Chet and Bill Show.
And it also takes you to incredible lows.
Round one, first weekend of the NCAA Tournament, Bill, is in the books.
We got the Sweet 16 settled, and they're going to play Thursday, Friday, and it's been a great tournament. A lot to talk about.
Shocking upsets in that first round, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, just ask Duke. Ask Duke about that.
Dayton made a few statements too, didn't they?
Still alive.
Kansas is out. Syracuse is out. Duke is out, like you said. UMass is out. You know, it's a great start to the NCAA tournament.
I'm telling you, Chet, it's been great to watch, and I've caught quite a few games from tip-off to the buzzer, and been following it all week. And man, what a lot to talk about! Some great teams advanced, and a lot of great games, a lot of overtime games, and one particular team of interest to Chet and Bill's still alive. That's Tennessee Vols.
Well, Tennessee Vols, Bill. I mean, I watched it. I was a little concerned about them, because they haven't been, although they played well at the end of the year, they've had some times during the year that they actually didn't play as good as what, people thought Tennessee should be playing like with the talent that they had this year. And I watched the Iowa game. It was a play-in, Bill, a play-in for an 11 seed. All the other play-in games were for 16 seeds, but this was a play-in for an 11 seed. So it was a great matchup between Tennessee and Iowa, and the game went into overtime. Tennessee started out slow, fell behind by like 12 points early in that game, fought their way back all the way to put the game into overtime, and then pretty much wore Iowa out in overtime. I think Tennessee ran away with it, ended up beating them by 10?
78-65. It was a 13-point. Yeah.
Whipped them in overtime.
Oh man, it was a 14-1 advantage of Tennessee in the overtime. Chet, I was actually watching that game, and I think I went out and I set my recorder because I wanted to see that Tennessee game, and man, my recording stopped right at the end of regulation. Right before the end of regulation, so it went into overtime. I didn't get to see any of the overtime, and when I heard that score, I was just blown away. I was
on the edge of my seat the whole game. Stokes and Maimon are two big wide bodies for Tennessee, and Stokes pretty much averages a double-double every game, rebounds and points. And the guy that's really been turning it on for Tennessee and making a big difference in the tournament is Josh Richardson. Man, he has played some basketball. I think he got SEC Defensive Player of the Year. And now not only is his defense looking good in the tournament, but his offense. I think he hit 26 points yesterday for Tennessee in their win over Mercer.
Yeah, I watched that also. He was fantastic in that game yesterday. Really on fire, and like I said, Stokes inside was a presence. Just a little bit of depth Tennessee's got. They can run several players down in the bench, very strong, and real impressed with Tennessee.
What they've done against UMass and against Mercer is got big leads early, and then just maintain the leads from there on out. I mean, they jumped all over UMass. I think what they end up beating UMass by about 16, and then they beat Mercer by 20. I mean, they're putting it on people right now. But they got a tough game this week. They got to play Michigan, and the winner of the Tennessee-Michigan game will have to play the winner of the Louisville-Kentucky game. Yeah. So it's not an easy bracket for them to get to the Final Four.
Everybody was talking about when the teams came out, that this Midwest bracket was the strongest by far, and it was a tough road for Wichita State. And we saw yesterday the Kentucky team coming together, 5 freshmen beating a senior-laden undefeated team in a great game. But I mean, Wichita State fought to the end, but Kentucky prevailed.
You'll never guess who I was for.
Shock me.
Yeah. Kentucky is to Tennessee in basketball as Alabama is to Tennessee in football. That makes sense?
Yeah, I mean Tennessee. Kentucky is the SEC power. They've won the most, by far the most national championships, SEC championships, and
it ain't even close in that.
I know. I think Alabama is actually through the years. Prior to the last few years, Alabama had been one of the second best SEC conference with that team in basketball through maybe in overall wins, but Kentucky and
I will say this:
sure,
the team that's beat Kentucky the most is Tennessee.
Is that right?
Got the most. They're not leading the rivalry, but they got the most wins against Kentucky than any other team. Of course, they played a lot, but Tennessee's been, at times a thorn in Kentucky's flesh. Not enough to stop them from winning national titles and SEC championships, so to speak, but, just a little bit of a problem. But that Kentucky-Wichita State game, it was, Wichita State, like you said, undefeated basketball team. 35 or 36-0 going into that game, and then Kentucky took them down, the Big Blue.
Yeah, I was rooting against Kentucky in that game. I liked Wichita State, the way they've, been together. Like I said, several seniors, juniors, and they made the Final Four last year. I've actually got to know some of those players, like what's his name, Ron Baker, the big kid. Didn't have the best game for Wichita, but I tell you who, there was a kid this early.
He can shoot.
He was 31 points in that game. Ron Baker ended with 20.
Kentucky did a good job of keeping that ball away from him for that last shot.
Yeah, that was Van Vliet, the nice point guard for Wichita. Got in foul trouble early in the second half, so he had to rest quite a few stretches in the second half, but he ended up bringing it down, taking a kind of a wild three there at the top of the key, and just rimmed out on him. So I hated to see that, but Kentucky is, like I said, facing Louisville this week.
Yeah, and Louisville, that's going to be a tough game. Louisville, I think Louisville can win it all. Louisville's pretty good. That would be back-to-back if they won it. They look good. And I'll tell you who else is looking good right now. It's Florida. The Gators are looking good, right? Florida, they actually had a little bit of a game with Albany, but then when they got to Pittsburgh, they just wiped the map with Pittsburgh. And then now they've got, what do they got, UCLA next?
Got the Bruins.
That ought to be a good
coming
game.
Up. Yeah, I watched Albany. Not a bad team to be a 16, and they played with Florida for most of that game, but Florida put them away pretty easy in the end. What was it, 67-55, and then Pittsburgh, who had just destroyed Colorado in the first round, and Florida, like I said, what a defensive game, holding Pitt to only 45 points. So, just another, it's hard to maybe make a case in a small sample, but, the SEC's really upheld pretty strong in this tournament. At one time they were 5-0.
They're 3-5. They're 7-0.
Still 7-0 right now, and Tennessee
had to win
three.
Tennessee had to win 3 games in 3 games in 5 days, right?
Well, yeah, you're right. You got Florida, Tennessee, and Kentucky are all undefeated. Of course, still alive in the tournament. So, SEC's basketball prowess took a beating. Only 3 teams in, but those 3 teams are really, showing out.
They're looking pretty good. They really are. So, who do you like right now in that bracket with Florida, the South bracket right now?
Well, I tell you, Chet, I haven't looked at these matchups that close. You got Florida, the number 1 seed in the South against UCLA, number 4 seed, and then in the other on the other side, that's where you got the upset winners. You got Dayton and Stanford playing.
A 10 and 11 seed playing.
Yeah, Dayton crushing Ohio State's dreams there, 60-59. I don't know if you saw the end of that game.
That really didn't hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I don't really care for Ohio State. You know, some teams you don't like, whether it's football or basketball, and Ohio State, one of them. You know?
I'm with you there. Dayton beating that's almost like a Troy beating an Alabama, or Chattanooga beating a UT. I mean, an in-state team beating the university, state university, but the Dayton Flyers advance into the Sweet 16 to play Stanford, who themselves in a small upset, they beat New Mexico. I think we both thought New Mexico was going to take that first round game, but Stanford wins, and the big upset in their next round, beating Kansas.
Yeah, I mean the number 2 seed goes down, right, to Stanford, and that, like you say, that sets up an 11 and a 10 seed. So you, without a doubt, you're going to have a 10 or 11 seed in the Elite Eight. You know, in the South, that's going to happen.
That's where the lowest or the highest seeded teams are going to come out of. I always seems to be that either Kansas or Arizona gets upset early. This year, you got second seeded Kansas going down in the second round, or actually the round of round of 32 there.
Yeah.
Just seems like that
Kansas went down to UConn, right? Is that who took them out?
this year. No, here where Stanford beat them.
Oh, who did UConn beat? UConn took.
UConn's over here.
They took out.
They were down here in the East playing. They beat St. Joseph and
Villanova.
Yeah,
they took out Villanova. I'm telling you what, Shabazz, Shabazz, whatever his name is, he got hot, and that boy was throwing it up 6-7 feet behind the 3-point line. It was going in. I mean, he wasn't worried about somebody being open. He just throwing it up, and it was going in. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to see a guy just get hot, and it was. Yeah, here's the headline of that game: Shabazz Napier, just throwing in 25 points in that win. So
it was incredible. I watched that. I mean, I'm pulling for I'm pulling for Villanova. I'm not a Connecticut fan. Partly it goes back because of the Tennessee women and Connecticut women. Were big rivals, or at least once were. But I'm pulling for Villanova and UConn. You couldn't stop Shabazz.
Yeah, I'm seeing here only 25 minutes of action, 25 points, 4 out of 8 from 3-point land. So
I'd like to see what it was in the second half. He probably hit most of them in the second half, and late. I mean, it was an incredible shooting, and he made a key layup late in that game too. I mean, it was a nice drive and round the world type move he made, so to speak.
Well, I didn't actually see that game. I'm glad you was able to see that, to comment on it. I caught several of the other games that I can comment on more. But yeah, a lot of us saw Villanova advancing there, being the 2 seed. But
yeah, I thought Villanova might have even had a shot to win the whole thing. Iowa State, North Carolina. Iowa State took out. And I don't think I watched that game. Did you?
I did. I did see most of the second half on that game. This was a game you may not know about, that there was a little bit of controversy at the end, I guess you'd say, is where the game was right in the final seconds, and Iowa State had scored a bucket, and North Carolina got the ball with 1.6 seconds left, and only needed a basket to tie it up, send it to overtime, and the clock operator did not start the clock for probably 4 or 5 steps. The guy was going down the court, and then he started it, and then the North Carolina player crossed the center line, and he called a timeout, and the clock was showing maybe 0.4 of a second, and so which is, how much time is that? But then there was a stoppage in time by the refs, and they were checking the video for several minutes, and then they determined that, the clock operator never started the clock on time, so if he had, the timeout would have been called, after the time has expired, so they ended up saying that's the game, it's over, and North Carolina goes down to Iowa State.
But if you're a North Carolina fan, you're saying, well, he's watching the clock and he's going to call his timeout based on the clock, right? But if you're an Iowa State fan, you're sitting there, start the blooming clock, start the blooming clock, right?
It was. I noticed it right when he was coming down court. I said, man, the clock hadn't started, and Coach Roy Williams was going crazy. Timeout, because to see if they'd call timeout, with a second and a half.
They get the ball on the side, but you get it on the side, right?
You could get, it in and get a shot off, but anyway, it came down to that. Iowa State,
North Carolina or Duke or somebody did that to Kentucky one year, didn't they? I mean, it had like a turnaround, hit the guy, and it was turn around, jump real quick. Years ago.
Well, I remember. Well, you may be thinking of the Christian Laettner.
That's it. That's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, less than a couple of seconds, and he, turn around and to win the game. But yeah, that was another thriller. So, it's just everywhere you look on this bracket, you got thrilling games. You had Harvard winning over Cincinnati.
Yeah, and they really gave Michigan State all Michigan State could ask for. I mean, that game was closer than the 8 points they're showing there, 80 to
73 to
7 points. Yeah, that game was that was a
really
tight game.
I didn't get to see the end of that, and I was following the scores, and I think Harvard must have come back on them, kept it close, didn't they?
That's pretty interesting because Harvard is Harvard a school that don't give out scholarships for
right.
sports?
Yeah, from what I understand, yeah.
That's pretty impressive. You're talking about to get into Harvard, and again, if you're not even getting in on an athletic scholarship, to get the kind of players they're getting in, they got to be smart people, right? Smart guys playing on this basketball team.
Yeah.
I don't think Harvard's got a basket weaving class, do they?
Harvard is Harvard, so
Harvard
is coached by
myself.
Coached by Tommy Amaker, used to play for Duke, so he comes from a academic known school. But yeah, it's
impressive. That coach at Harvard. Is he a guy that could potentially be going somewhere else?
I think so.
That's just a couple of years in a row they've done well, isn't it? Didn't they? I think they did pretty well last year.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to get some offers, but Michigan State a favorite for by many of folks picking them.
I think the illustrious Prez thinks that Michigan State will win the national title, or was it Michigan he was saying?
Sorry, I didn't see the Obama bracket this year.
He's got time to do that now.
He's not shaking his finger at Vladimir Putin.
Putin will break that finger off. That's what's sad. I'm sorry. Anyway, let's not get off on that because we might have some people who disagree with us on politics.
Because we're heard worldwide, Chet and Bill Show.
That's right. You never know. Putin might be listening to us.
Crimea.
Crimea what?
KGB.
Oh.
Crimea River.
Crimea River? Yeah.
Crimea is the region of Ukraine that has been taken over by the Russians.
Well, because aren't they saying that Putin's putting the old Soviet Union back together? They're like, let's get off
He's saying they want in, so he's,
all right.
Anyway.
So that was Iowa State. Michigan State.
Chet, I'm saying, yeah, what do you think? What do you think, Chet? In the East, you got Virginia,
Michigan State.
Big game.
I'm going to be pulling for Virginia in that game. Something about the Cavaliers. I was glad to see them take Memphis out because I'm not a Memphis fan either. So they thumped Memphis.
Yeah, they did.
And
18 points.
You've got Virginia, who they took. They beat George Washington and Memphis, and then you got that Michigan State, who's taken Harvard took out Cincinnati, and then Michigan State took out Harvard. Michigan State. That Virginia-Michigan State game will be a great game. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, Virginia plays pretty good defense too.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going to go
ACC
Virginia in that
winner.
game.
Virginia?
Yeah. What about Iowa State and Connecticut? Who are you going to go with that?
I'm liking Iowa State. They impressed me pretty good with the win over UNC. I saw that game, and I just I don't know a whole lot about Connecticut, but said they had Shabazz, but yeah, Iowa State. I'm gonna say Iowa State comes out of there. I don't know. I think Michigan State's going to prevail. They just have a. That's a coin flip for me.
So you're thinking of 4 versus a 3 in the East in the Elite Eight. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
so what about Midwest? We talked about that briefly at Tennessee, Michigan. I think I have to go with my heart on that one, even though I don't know if Tennessee can beat Michigan or not. They can't. Let me take that back. They definitely can beat Michigan, especially if they keep playing like they've been playing with the big bodies of Maimon and Stokes. And, McCray hadn't been as dangerous as he normally is. And McCray's a great basketball player. If McCray gets hot along with Richardson and stuff, Tennessee they can do some damage.
Oh, no doubt. I am really
flipping pages on the website
well,
right
I wanted to go here to the CBS bracket and see if they had some matchup.
There's one right there. Hit that eye right there.
Details here we can look at because, Tennessee is playing as good as anybody, and their confidence level sky high, and physical team. Hey, I'm not going to bet against Tennessee.
41.4 rebounds a game. They said that Stokes had as many rebounds the other day, or just about as many rebounds as the whole Mercer team did.
Oh, yeah, I remember seeing that. Stokes was a beast in that game, but
he could come back to the Vols next year. He's a junior. The way he's playing right now, I think his NBA stock is going up.
Yeah, you definitely want to hit while it's hot, and Stokes has another good game, man. You can see him. I don't know NBA prospects, but he's got an NBA body, that's for sure.
Michigan, Tennessee. So I go with Tennessee just because it's my team. What's the other game?
That's the Kentucky.
Louisville and Kentucky.
Battle of the Bluegrass State.
I think did Kentucky beat them earlier in the year? Didn't they at Kentucky?
Wildcats did defeat Louisville up on December 28th. I'm reading here. So now they're going to face them again. You got a couple of champions. You got last year's champions, Louisville, and Kentucky won 2 or 3 years ago. So, Kentucky is not as disciplined a team. I don't think they're just kind of wild. They're young, but I think Louisville will win this game.
Yeah, but it's interesting. Potentially, you could have, if Kentucky keeps winning and Florida keeps winning, you could have a rematch of the SEC title game for the national title. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's a possibility. Or you could have Tennessee and Florida playing for the 4th time this year as well. So it's it's a lot of basketball to be played, but it could happen. I think the odds are Florida's odds are better at being in the national title than I think either Tennessee's or Kentucky's are at this time. But you never know. Arizona's a good basketball team, right? Arizona, very good team, 32-4.
playing a San Diego team.
It's a dangerous San Diego State team, right? Who's San Diego? What was their path to get to Arizona?
Trying to get this.
Wow, they had they beat
New Mexico State in overtime.
See, there was one of those upsets. North Dakota State took out Oklahoma, so that gave San Diego State a matchup against a 12 seed. So it doesn't hurt when that happens, you know.
Well, I think we talked about it on Chet and Bill Show that it's a well-known fact that your 5-12 matchup is where you look to find an upset. And this year, if I am right, I think 3 out of the 4 regions had the 12 seed win. In the Midwest, NC State, I thought they were going to win, but they ended up losing to St. Louis in overtime.
Yeah.
And then you had Harvard beating Cincinnati. Who do we have down here? Harvard, Cincinnati, and
no, I guess you're about 50-50. That was VCU. No, yeah, you're right.
Well,
Stephen F. Austin beat VCU. Yeah. So 3 out of 5?
3 out of 4,
excuse me.
3 out of 4. Stephen F. Austin, Harvard, and North Dakota State all winning in 12-5 matchups.
Wow. You almost had a 16 win one game too, didn't you? What game was that? Was really close with a 16 seed.
Well, you had
what was
that? Was probably, other than Albany hanging close, you had Coastal Carolina. That's who it was. Cliff Ellis.
That's right.
Coach team ended up losing 70-59.
But it was closer than that.
Yeah, they were in that game till
Yeah, I watched into that
4
game.
Minutes.
Yeah.
So not this year. Didn't have the upset that the 116s never happened. Wichita State just was all over Cal Poly and Arizona.
And Creighton beat Baylor beat the living fool out of Creighton. Didn't see that one coming.
I was making a point to watch Creighton. With Doug McDermott, one of the all-time. He's a top 5 collegiate player in the scoring ranks. But yeah, Creighton. I even had Creighton going. One bracket I picked, I had them Final Four, but I had them at least going Sweet 16, and Baylor just beat the fool out of them. Ended up by 30 points.
Yeah, that's crazy. I just didn't see it coming. I guess it's just because of the fact Creighton's. They had a good year though. What was their record going into that game? Or you can't tell, can you?
Well, they were they had a really good record, the number 3 seed, and I don't know. I don't have it here.
Baylor was 26-12. Creighton, I don't know. Anyway,
Baylor. Creighton had some good players, but and one star, but they just didn't. They just got blitzed by Baylor big time in that game. And
Baylor's been doing pretty good in sports, and they did pretty good in football. They were a pretty dangerous team to play in football.
I don't know if you saw them. I thought it was daggum Oregon. They come out in a day glow yellow. Super bright fluorescent yellow. That was in their game the other day. But yeah, Creighton going down. Wisconsin plugging along.
So who we got?
They beat the fool out. Look at this score, Chet. American was defeated 75-35.
Is American the team that won their didn't have a very good record and won their tourney and got in? Somebody did. Somebody had 19 losses and got into the tourney. I don't know who it was, but somebody did. It might have been North Dakota State, matter of fact. But you almost wonder if it's that many losses, even if they win their tourney, should they actually be in?
Yeah, you'll see. There's a team that, like I said, wins that kind of upsets in the conference tournament, and they have no business being there. But yeah, you got Baylor. How do I get this off the screen?
Click on something else.
Baylor and Wisconsin. changed it. But
What
yeah,
did you do, Bill?
I'm just causing havoc on this
I'm
computer.
telling you, he don't know how to drive a computer, people.
Here we go.
Should have seen the trouble we had before we even started the show.
They don't need to know that things don't run flawlessly at Chet and Bill Show.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're all over the place here. But we're just so excited, man.
Yeah.
Baylor and Wisconsin.
I have to go on with
don't know,
Wisconsin
man.
that game. I think something just
Coming out of the Big Ten.
We didn't check our
stronger.
Gomer Pyle picks, did we? Or did we write our Gomer Pyle picks down? You don't remember that, do you?
I
Where we
don't
slapped our
remember
fingers on the table?
which game that
Yeah,
was.
it's hard to say.
But yeah, you're gonna in the West. You got Arizona. They ought to get by San Diego State.
Should be interesting to have a 1 versus a 2 seed. That's the only.
Yeah.
I think that's the only region we can have a 1 versus 2, isn't it? Or is it? Like Wichita State's gone. You can't have them.
Right.
Virginia, yeah, 1 and 3 maybe you can have over in the East, but
Up here you got.
a 1. You're going to have a 1 and a 10 or a 1 and 11. You could have a 1 and 11 in that one, or a 4 and 11, or 4 and 10, or a 1 and 10, or whatever. I'm giving you all the options there.
They don't know what you're talking about, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah, they do. Seeds, people, seeds.
But yeah, a lot of good games. Looking forward to, I believe, Thursday night and Friday night. So,
Tennessee plays Friday, I think about 6:15 Central Time. My plan is to watch that game, Bill.
Really?
Yeah,
Good for you.
yeah. I'm thinking I'm going to
I'm
watch
try
it.
to watch that game too. I mean, what are we're looking at? Tennessee, Michigan, and then later that night you got Kentucky, Louisville. So two big games of interest for us down here down south.
So you have the Midwest and the East going on Friday, and then you've got the other ones, the South and the West going on. No, they're
Let me.
Thursday. They're Thursday.
Yeah, I've got a app here with just a flat schedule. Thursday night we've got Dayton and Stanford, the early game.
11 versus 10.
Let's see, 6:15. I think that'd be our local time. Then Baylor, Wisconsin, which is what a
2 versus Baylor 6
6 and
versus
2.
2. Yeah.
And then at 8:45, UCLA, Florida.
1 versus 4.
Followed by
4 being UCLA.
San Diego and Arizona. So
1 and 4.
and then Friday we'll have Tennessee starting the night out.
Tennessee's the first game that night.
Tennessee, a 1.5 point dog on this Yahoo.
That's interesting because you actually, in this case, you got Tennessee and Michigan playing the same time Iowa State and Connecticut are playing, different channels. It's too bad they're doing that, right? And then I guess the same thing with Kentucky and Louisville and Virginia, Michigan State playing at the same time. So,
They're staggered, about 12 minutes.
well, not much. I mean,
12-minute tip-offs. Yes, so Tennessee, Michigan, and but yeah, they are on at the same time, but
I guess
they will end a little.
They probably did that in other bracket too, and they just didn't notice it.
They're staggered by a little bit different on Thursday. 6:15 and then 6:47, then 8:45 and 9:17.
You
But
think they'd work that out a little bit with the only what's that? 1, 2, 3. I mean, you got 4 games. No,
4 games in each night. So.
Yeah, 4 games each night.
I mean, you'll have. I guess we're looking at, of course, CBS and TBS.
That's pretty much it. CBS and TBS.
Is that who the channels this round?
Yep,
Okay.
that's who they are. So
So
basketball's turning out to be fun for me this year because Tennessee's in the Sweet 16. I can't say that enough. Tennessee's in the Sweet 16. Bill, you remember there's been a little controversy with Bruce Pearl going to Auburn. I say controversy. What I mean by that is Tennessee fans, before they got in the tournament and before they got really hot at the end of the year, some Tennessee fans had started a petition to bring Bruce Pearl back. So they had like 35,000 signatures on that, to bring Bruce Pearl back. And I'm happy for Conzo that he's got Tennessee in the Sweet 16 to shut those fans up. And and Conzo's up for a contract renewal, so hopefully they'll lock him down because I think he's a good man, he's a good coach, and it's just good to see.
I agree with you. I know I talked to you a little before the SEC tournament, saying, "Hey, what is this? A lot of Vol fans seem to want Conzo out," and Chet said, "Well, we got a lot of talent down there," but really, you were so right because. They're showing it in the tournament. Say what you will, but they had a good SEC tournament.
Yeah.
Rolling strong in the March Madness NCAA tournament. So
it's one game at a time now. Shoot, who knows? Maybe we can get in the Final Four. Maybe we get in the national title game.
I remember. Yeah, I mean, there's.
The best Bruce Pearl did while he was at Tennessee was Elite Eight. So I'd like to see Conzo at least match the Elite Eight. I don't think Tennessee's never been to a Final Four, and obviously he's never played for the national title in men's basketball. And of course, we have about 7 or so women's national titles, but we hadn't really been discussing the women's bracket. So
well, all they got to do is beat Michigan and Kentucky Louisville winner, and hey. They're there. They're there in Dallas or Arlington.
Final Four, right? And
then a lot. It's gonna be fun. I mean, Tennessee is definitely in it.
3 games to be in the national title, right?
Yep, that's pretty darn close. But yeah, I mean, one more win, Elite Eight. Huge year it'll be. Even if they do. Beat the next round. So
shifting gears a little bit, Bill. I hear that the Alabama Crimson Tide has started spring practice, and they started it without the quarterback that's transferring from Florida State. I hear that he did not, or Florida State did not allow one of his courses, so he's having to, instead of being able to roll in the spring at the Tide, he is having to come in the fall, which, he's a senior type guy, right? He's got plenty of years in college football, so it's probably not going to be that big a deal. But Alabama certainly, since that's the guy they expect to be the starting quarterback, they certainly would have liked to have had him in spring.
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, he didn't confirm that he was coming until after the bowl game? Yeah. So it's always been known that he was gonna not be there, but. I don't know. I hadn't heard that about the course, but yeah, I think he's on course to graduate, so he's going to graduate. That'll make him eligible. I think he's got 2 more years.
Does he have 2?
Yeah.
So means he graduates. Okay.
I think he was last year was a red shirt sophomore, maybe. He's only played 1, but anyway.
So you don't have to sit out either at Alabama. No. Come in and play immediately, right? So that's a good thing.
Yeah, you're right. Alabama's got half dozen, 4 or 5 guys down there competing at quarterback, which you'd think, seems Coker's seems to be the favorite in the minds of the fans anyway. I mean, it's a guy that's been on a national championship team.
And then everybody says, well, he was just about beat the Heisman Trophy winner out before the season started, so it's like. They acted like it was a toss-up in that, and Jameis ended up getting a coin toss for the starting job, so to speak, for Florida State. Never relinquished it. Who knows? We'll see. I mean, I'm sure he's a good football player, or Nick Saban would not want him playing for the Crimson Tide. So
yeah, I mean, it's almost like Alabama taking a page out of, not really out of Auburn's playbook, but they seem to go for the junior college guys and bringing them in and ready to play SEC level, but this is kind of a little bit different. But If all the some of the things they've said about how good this kid is, that he's going to be, maybe able to step in for Alabama.
Saban had something last day or so that I think I actually agree with, with Coach Saban, which,
Mark your calendars.
It has to do with the guys that want to leave college early. Maybe they need like a mini camp and let these kids get evaluated to see where they are before it really takes their eligibility away from them. So pros could come up and say, hey, you're a third or fifth, sixth round, you don't need to be coming out type deal. Instead of you have to declare, and then you basically you don't get drafted. You're maybe not even a free agent, and then you're toast out of college. You can't play in college. So there's some that, and the NCAA may be talking about having an early signing period as well, which I think is greatly needed. You get these kids committed, and then so many people getting there feel pretty good where they're going, but so many people getting in their ear and tugging at them, and then they end up flipping on you last second. But it'd be much nicer to go ahead and be able to close these guys out in the early part of December, mid-December, and you can focus
about signing them.
Yeah. They're talking about an early signing period.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I know that there's the commitments. Guys are making commitments before they even play their senior year of high school. But
before they even visit a school sometimes.
Yeah, well, commitments is getting out of when you got 14-year-old seventh graders being offered scholarships supposedly, like LSU's done, and I think Texas or somebody. But back to the pro thing. I think there'll be some changes. There's maybe that'll be something that would be something that gets passed next year or two, because I know guys get evaluated. They can get a grade, whatever evaluation from NFL. I don't know how it works, but what you're saying is, maybe have like I said, a little workout thing where they don't.
It's like Nick says, a lot of these guys end up, they end up when they test at the combines, they're not as fast as they were. At college times, for whatever reason, a lot of times end up being faster than what these guys end up getting timed out at the combines for the pros.
Oh yeah, they put them through the ringer. They measure them. Sometimes guys shrink a couple inches in their official official measurements, but that's something that maybe is going to come down the pike. But talking about Alabama spring, I heard a little bit about a lot of the players are liking old Lane Kiffin down there. You're hearing some good words from some of the offensive players. Amari Cooper quoted as saying, "Hey, he's good players coach, working with the guys, kind of maybe even simplifying some of the things, but it's early, it's spring." But
I think he's a good coach. I think
no
it was
doubt.
a good hire. Bad as I hate to say it, I'd just assume you guys hire somebody that's not very good, honestly.
He wouldn't have got to where he's at. He was available. He's had success.
Do you think Saban would hire somebody that he thinks is going to screw his football team up? People out of their mind if they think that's the case. Now, if it so happens that Kiffin doesn't do well at Bama, it's not because Saban was trying to sabotage his own team. It'll just be, I don't know, for whatever reason. Kiffin has shown he can coach. Granted, he got fired at USC, but actually, I think he helped USC through some of that turmoil, some of that NCAA violation stuff. He had to work himself through that and try to keep USC significant, or whatever. Not a good word, but you know what I mean.
They got slammed sanction-wise.
Bad, big time.
And you've seen teams just, taking years to recover. When you're shorted that many scholarships, and they were a contender.
They didn't dip that bad, right? If you think of it, they didn't dip that bad. He chose to go the first 2 years without bowls, right? without the bowl bid, but he fought the. I think
they got a little relief,
scholarship
maybe,
stuff. Yeah, I mean, and it's like
which
he weathered the storm for them, you know. And at Tennessee, I think, you know, the one time Tennessee's played a halfway decent game against Alabama since Saban's been there was the year Kiffin was the head coach.
Yeah, and people, Bama fan, you know, a lot of casual fans forget about that, and I mean, obviously this made an impression on Nick Saban. I mean, dadgum, you know, two blocked kicks away from.
Did you see Jonathan Crompton before Kiffin got there? Crompton, the quarterback at Tennessee, I mean, his head was all screwed up. He looked terrible. Kiffin got there, and he got better and better as Kiffin was there coaching him. And he ended up having a good year for Tennessee, you know. So
True.
I think you're okay with Kiffin. I don't like it, but I think you are.
Yeah. So that's coming up. Alabama's spring games, April 18th. I may actually try to get down there, just if it's a nice day, just to get down and get a little taste of football. But yeah, I know Auburn's practicing, they need to replace Trey Mason down there at running back. Of course, their expectations are.
Auburn's probably loaded again.
Yeah, I mean, if they, it's going to be interesting again this year. Auburn playing that schedule, they're kind of like Alabama. They have the tougher, you know, it seems like we have a tougher SEC schedule one year, and then next year you got those guys at home, so you think a little bit easier. So
Missouri opens up with 4 powder puffs. When I say 4 powder, I'm saying that their first 4 games, Bill, are against non-conference opponents.
4 games?
4 games in a row against non-conference opponents. Now, that does mean that when they hit their conference, they got 8 straight games of conference play. In Missouri's a team that's got to replace a goodly amount of players. So it's going to be interesting seeing what Missouri can do this year. I don't think they're going to repeat as the East champions this year. Georgia's probably the odds-on favorite. Georgia and South Carolina probably odds-on favorite going into the year for the East. West, it's going to be Auburn. It's going to be Alabama. It's going to be LSU. And maybe even Ole Miss.
Mississippi State's going to be good. With Dak Prescott.
Dak Prescott's a good quarterback, good, strong quarterback. Yeah, it ought to be interesting. I mean, Tennessee don't play Auburn this year, but they pick up Ole Miss at Ole Miss. Tennessee goes to Oklahoma. Got to play the Sooners out in Soonerville.
Well, Tennessee has definitely been getting the recognition for the strongest scheduling non-conference wise, and you know, Oregon going back. But yeah, I mean, if they get their program back, you know, as y'all are building up and, you know, get stronger and you win some of those games, that's going to shoot y'all, you know, your prestige up there, and you know, Tennessee can be right back where they want to be. If hey, did you notice? I was watching Tennessee's basketball, that game, and Butch Jones was right there.
I'm telling you, Butch is the man.
He was cheering like a Joe fan and wearing the orange pullover.
You know, Tennessee fans love Butch Jones right now. I mean, really love Butch.
Seems like a real, you know, every man, you know, down to earth, no nonsense business, but you know, seems like a good guy.
They putting together, you know, they had a great recruiting class. Tennessee got 14 of those guys in for the spring. They actually, Bill, right now they've got the JUCO transfer Blair starting at left tackle. You know, they got to replace pretty much their whole offensive line, and then on the right tackle they're starting a true freshman right now at right tackle. Coleman Thomas, I believe that's who it is, but they, you know, they say he looks good. And on defense, they've got a freshman starting at cornerback on defense, actually replacing a Justin Coleman, who's either a junior or a senior. They're actually moving Justin Coleman to nickel. This guy's evidently that good already to come in and cause a movement for Tennessee and a position change, so to speak. But they're getting some good opportunities because we've got Brian Randolph out, so we're able to work some for Brian Randolph, our top safety. He's out for the spring. He'll be fine for regular season, but it gives some guys opportunity to work and build some depth during the spring. And I plan on going to. I plan on it. I don't know where I'm going to Tennessee spring game, but Tennessee spring game is April the 12th. I'm looking forward to that. Even if I don't go, maybe I'll watch it on a replay of it or something. But my grandson's got a T-ball game that week, so I got to figure out whether I'm going to go for a 1-hour T-ball game or whether I'm going to go up to Knoxville and on like a Friday and spend a night or two and then come back. So.
Well, I mean, that's not going to be the only T-ball game of the year.
No, and I've been going to every practice he's got so far. So that's you gotta be around your grandkids.
Oh,
that.
that's a lot of fun. I'm doing the same thing.
What are you doing, Bill? You looking up?
Trying
to find schedules?
Yeah, but it's
kind of you need to click on the school. There's links for each school. See all them schools? See all the emblems? See the T over there for Tennessee? See them? I'm telling you, people, Bill does not know how to drive a web page. Anyway, but we're getting Bill. We're into this about 52 minutes or so. I mean, I've been enjoying it. We've been going along pretty good, but we definitely need to try to keep these things, within.
Well, I mean, we got the diehards that we know are listening, and we hope so. But
yeah, we got thanks, Dan.
Yeah, Dwayne.
Dan and Dwayne, and sometimes Barry. I don't know if Barry makes it this far into the broadcast, but if you guys would spread the word about us, we certainly would appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, we will we'll keep going sporadically here through the spring and summer. Maybe I can get Chet to get interested in something besides the Vol football, maybe a little baseball this summer.
The Tennessee baseball team is doing extremely well. You thought you brought that up. Although I will say we dropped our first series of the year. Auburn beat us 2 out of 3 in Knoxville this past weekend.
Well,
kind of.
I wouldn't know what's happening in baseball yet.
Are you saying your team's not good, or you just?
I don't know. Let's take a look, Chet.
Tennessee's lost 4 games. They're 19-4. So it's just actually
that's very good.
That's the best start in Tennessee history, by the way. Let's see what we got. We got Florida at 15-9, Kentucky at 17-7, South Carolina 19-3, Tennessee 19-4, Vanderbilt 20-5. We got some good SEC baseball teams.
Yeah,
Georgia 14. Let me finish this off. Georgia 14-10, Missouri 11-12, Auburn 17-8.
In the West, very well. Auburn's.
Ole Miss 21-4. Good gracious.
Well, I mean, some of this non-conference schedule's probably
just impressive.
Not what you want. It looks like Alabama's 3-3 conference, 15-8. So I mean, it's.
Let's see, the worst. The only team we got with losing records, Missouri, huh? Missouri. All right, Bill, are we going to find a little music to go out on, or are we just going to say goodbye, good night from the bunker, the sports bunker, Chet and Bill, the sports bunker?
We started out with a little March Madness themed "Shot at the Night" by the group The Killers, but that was a pretty cool little song. Had some a lot of highlight little basketball mixed in, but. I mean, I think some of the most talked about Chet and Bill show that I've heard has been some of our singing singing editions.
Yeah, I don't know that we want to do that right now.
I think we went a little long there, but I'm going to pull something here. It's a little CBS theme. Carry us out. Everybody knows this song. CBS college sports basketball theme. So Chet, we'll. Hey, man, we need to get together and watch some basketball this week and be back next week. What do you say? Talk about it. Maybe Tennessee.
I think we ought to come back next week. We ought to have a little more college spring practice information.
Yeah,
I mean, Tennessee
that's
took
true.
about a week off, for spring break, and now they're back at it in spring.
Yeah, we'll follow the news this week, and maybe there'll be something newsworthy we can talk about football-wise, keep you guys interested. And, of course, March Madness is going to be the dominating thing.
All right, well, Bill, thanks to everybody for listening. Until next week, this is Chet signing off.
This is Bill, and glad you listened, and tune in next time on chetandbillshow.com. We'll talk to you later, Chet.
See you, Bill.